You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue, episode 231, coming out here on Thursday, June 27th, and it's a good one. A lot of football. Teams are back and in OTAs, and now, finally we are seeing what this season is probably going to look like.
Yeah, the story is building. The soup or stew is brewing, if you will.
The water's boiling now.
Sure.
It's looking good. So we're going to start the show off with a little rant from Tim on Aaron Rodgers. Then we're going to get into hits and misses to round out the first segment. Getting into the second, we will have Dak Orr. So we did Tua Orr a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, was that about a month ago now?
Right. So
something like that.
We'll get into it later. But pretty much, we got 5 or 6 quarterbacks that we're comparing against Dak?
We got 5, yeah.
Okay.
5. We're going to include some salaries, though. I think it matters.
It absolutely matters, especially when you're talking about that situation.
For sure.
We're going to close the show out, staying in the NFC East, though, with a little discussion on the New York Giants. So that should be good. 2 New York teams and a Dallas.
Let's preface that for just a second. Simple answer right now. We won't go into any depth. Are they the worst team in football?
The Giants?
Yeah. I'm going to say no, but I think it's a fair question.
They're making an argument?
No explanation, just yes or no. Or
they're making an argument.
Sure, okay. Anyway, did you do the shouting out of all the social medias and everything?
Oh, yeah, if you're...
follow
we appreciate you being here.
Subscribe and YouTube.
iHeartRadio is a big one.
Sure, yeah, all
Apple
those.
Podcasts is always huge.
Go to YouTube as well. You can see our beautiful faces. That's a lie. We're ugly, but hey, just come tune in anyway. There's graphics on the screen and stuff. I don't know, keeps you engaged.
Helpful.
I still eat like I'm a 5-year-old. I have to have something on YouTube or on TV when I eat.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe I'm weird. Unless it's like a family dinner.
No, that's what it's turned into. That's just what it is now.
We can move on from that. Okay. Aaron Rodgers. Let's talk, because I think I've been pretty much in the middle. I think he's a really good quarterback. I actually agree with a lot of his political stances. Some of it is a little out there, but a lot of it, I pretty much I'm all right. He makes a good point, for sure. A little more on the right side of things, and I tend to lean that way. Am that way. I agree with a lot of his stuff. But there's things that really piss me off about Aaron, and one of those is that he is just really hypocritical. It just really bothers me. We all are to some degree, right? Not everybody is, perfectly aligned. Some things vary, and so everybody's a little bit hypocritical. But Aaron, it really bugs me. So let's go through a timeline, a sequence of events here of the offseason of the New York Jets. The first story that I hear is, Aaron comes out in the media, not calling anybody out, but basically sending a message to the team and saying that we need to focus on football. And I think he used the phrase that any other BS, can get out of the locker room, basically. So I don't know if he was sending a direct message to somebody. If he was, I'm guessing they got it. That's... Okay, fine, good, you're a leader, cool. Second story. Aaron goes on a couple podcasts, talks about what some would call conspiracies. Again, I think I actually agree with some of it. Again, some of it's a little bit out there. But the point being, it's not football related. Right? I'm not saying you can't have a life. I'm not saying you can't go on podcasts. But it's I'm thinking the top couple quarterbacks. I don't hear Mahomes on a podcast with anybody for that matter. Josh Allen, has he done any appearances? I don't know. But Aaron, of course, went on a bunch of them. Third story, Robert Saleh has to answer for him at the podium and says that, him not being there was an inexcused absence, but he was there for an event. He was not there because he was going to an event. It was, again, not excused, but it was understood and it was discussed between him and Aaron. Okay, that's the third story. And the fourth story is that Aaron he was rumored to be at a retreat doing some drugs. Very similar to the ayahuasca trip that he took last year. So look, again, he can have a life outside of football. That's fine. That's not the end of the world. I don't need my quarterbacks to be perfect. But when you snap your Achilles 4 plays into the season last year, and it is a huge disappointment for the season, I'm not saying it's your fault that you got hurt. But it is a massive disappointment for the franchise and a massive disappointment from the city. And you're on a damn near new team, right, with minimal talent, a bad offensive line, an even worse offensive coordinator, a head coach that has a losing record, and in New York with that media, I think anything helps. I think being there for any single day helps. And just being quiet enough and being focused enough to just tone down the noise, right? I use that phrase a lot. It just feels noisy. New York is too noisy, both the city and the franchise. And it's not going to bode well for them going into the season. What if they start 500 or worse for the first 6-7 games of the year? What if they're not in a playoff spot come, I don't know, like week 13, right, where every game is amplified? That is a pressure cooker waiting to happen. And these are human beings. I know we could say, like, well, look, Aaron's been in the league. He'll be fine. These guys are pros. Yes, they are pros. But they're also human beings. That pressure matters. That pressure matters. Again, I still think they're going to be fine. I think they're somewhere around 500. I think they'll be competitive for a wild card spot, but in the loaded AFC, I'll predict them to miss the playoffs. But this team is nowhere near a true contender. Nowhere near it. And this story, this offseason, and last, has completely embodied the Jets franchise. It's a little bit of a joke. It feels like the Lakers of the NFL, right? Big star, but it's really inconsistent. The ownership is kind of sketchy. Yeah, look, LeBron is fantastic at basketball, but he's got productions and he's in movies and commercials. Look, he brings it when he's on the floor. Aaron has yet to show that. Again, he was hurt 4 plays in. But it just feels like a little bit of a barnyard musical, and I just don't think that can win, especially in New York, in the AFC, in that division. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's a leadership thing to me. Do you want your quarterback to be the leader of the team or not? And that's what it comes down to. This isn't a decision that was made from any point of leadership by Aaron. The thing that we have to do is put it into perspective. It's tough to relate something that's happening in the National Football League to somebody's normal everyday life. But think about it at your own job. You have a big project rolling out. You have something coming that, it's huge for the company. It's a big event. You have to be there. It's the start of it.
Sure.
You show
up.
It's
a big conference or something.
And where's the number one guy on your team? Like, where's he at? Is he there? Oh, no, he's off doing drugs.
Sure.
He's on vacation doing drugs.
There's also a part
this doesn't
of me
matter
like,
to you then. That's what that tells me.
Sure.
It doesn't matter to you.
There's also a part of me that's very like, why is sports the only profession in the world where it's just like, we're just going to not show up, like pretty often just not show up for mandatory things, and it to kind of like be okay? Because in my eyes, it's like, aren't you paid to show up? Like, isn't that kind of why you get paid?
You signed a contract.
Like, I'm a little bit confused. Like, you get paid to go to work.
If you don't show up to work, what happens?
You get fired eventually.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you do that enough times, like you just get fired. I don't know. It confuses me. It's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Either way.
Maybe use some PTO. Do they have PTO? I don't know.
Probably.
You think so?
I would assume so. Yeah.
I would say probably not. Maybe not like, traditional PTO.
Yeah. It's probably on
I don't know.
A different accrual basis. Probably.
Either way. The quarterbacks that we all love, I feel like it's really quiet. Like, I haven't heard a thing about Mahomes this offseason. Not one.
When you said it,
I haven't even seen a picture of him.
I don't think I've seen Josh Allen outside of his Bills uniform ever.
Yeah, haven't seen anything about Josh Allen. Maybe I'm not looking enough, but like I shouldn't have to look. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a problem, I'll see it, and I've seen Aaron's name about 1,000 times.
Yeah. Like,
I haven't seen Lamar. Well, I guess Lamar missed the one day and got fined for it. But yeah,
it's noisy.
It is noisy. It is.
We don't like noise.
No.
Either way, let's go. We got hits and misses on a Thursday.
All right, hit number one. This is like partially Bill Belichick, partially New England. I always thought it was more Bill, but I knew kind of the organization as a whole as well, that they're just kind of archaic. They just don't really get offense. And they signed a running back to big money, Ramondre Stevenson. And look, he's fine. He's good, but he's not like a top 10 running back. They paid him like top 6 money. You're like, what are you doing? When your roster has a ton of needs, your offensive line's not particularly strong. You have no idea what you're doing at the quarterback position. Your wide receiver, well, I guess maybe Drake May. I like Drake May, but in that situation, I don't know, because your receivers are god-awful. There's no tight end talent. It's like you have so many other needs. You're going to overpay for an average running back.
That's not going to do anything for you.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Does that buy them a win?
Not one.
Exactly.
Ramondre Stevenson isn't worth a half a point a game. He's not worth an eighth of a win over the course of a year. No, not at all. They are a 4-win team whether he plays or not.
But you're going to dish that money out to him. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I would say Christian McCaffrey is the only one that is probably worth a win. And even then, Vegas-wise, probably not actually, probably worth about a half a win.
Probably.
How many points do you think he'd be worth a game?
4 to 5.
I would go even less. I'd say 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's not going to be much.
No. Miss number 1 here. I used to think Derek Carr. I think I went on a little bit of a rant like before he signed, or like right after he signed with New Orleans, I think. And I said if he keeps on his career pace, like if he just does his career averages for like 3 more years, he's a top 15 quarterback of all time, and statistically, or top 20, I think I said.
Yeah.
And if he does it for like I think 5 total years more, he'd be a top 10 quarterback statistically. And was I dumb? Because he's not even close to like. Well, statistically, yes, but he's not even close to a Hall of Famer.
No.
I actually went on a rant saying if he continues to perform like this, he could be a Hall of Famer. He's not even close.
No, but the stats don't lie, though. That's the thing.
Well, he's had a decent career. He's had a decent career, but like my point is, he may lose the battle to Spencer Rattler. I don't think any of us view Spencer Rattler as like a legitimate starting quarterback as of right now.
No, and Spencer Rattler does not have any business beating a Hall of Fame quarterback out. So that's why he's
not a Hall of Famer. Right? That's where the miss is for sure. Hit number 2 here. Last week it was a miss because I didn't know why Jacksonville didn't pay Trevor Lawrence. I think the day after the show came out, or like later that night after the show came out, Trevor Lawrence got signed to a massive extension, 5 years for $275 million, $55 a year. Your quick thoughts on the contract?
I mean, you got to lock up Trevor for as low as you can for as long as you can in this situation.
I don't think that's as low as they could have.
No, you have to give him a fair deal for what he's worth. Obviously, he can get whatever on the market. I think it's huge. It's like the big glimmering thing in your organization right now. That's something that you can't lose. It's a piece that I think you have to build around. And like, I wouldn't be upset if they went and kind of rebuilt everything else around Trevor. But I would say he's the cornerstone. He's the guy you pay, and now build something around him. But I like it. He has to.
Do you remember when we had this conversation about Dak when I said, for Dak's first contract? I said I don't love it because I don't view him as a top 10 quarterback, or top, I guess at the time he was getting paid like a top 5 quarterback. It's like I don't love that, but he does like kind of steady the ship. Like it's Dallas, they're loud, they're noisy. Tony Romo has just retired. He always says the right thing at the podium. He's a grown up. That stuff matters. And I think people get paid on that stuff.
Yeah.
Very similar to this, where it's like it's outside of football, but it's like Trevor Lawrence is your entire organization. Without Trevor Lawrence, what are the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Not much.
Right, so it's like I know that's not a football reason to pay somebody, but I do think it's an important factor when you're running a business where it's like, hey, my largest source of revenue, like the one guy that's probably in charge of bringing in the most revenue, like I should probably pay him accordingly.
What I was going to say is, if Trevor Lawrence walks out of the building right now in the current state of this organization, goodbye, you're moving to London.
I mean, yeah, they wouldn't.
Or any other city in the United States.
We want to talk about being worth wins. What is that team's record without Trevor Lawrence? 5 wins? 4 wins?
Maybe that.
I mean, like, what? Let's find your middle-of-the-road quarterback. What if you put Derek Carr on that team?
No.
They win probably, 6 games?
He's important.
5 games?
They needed to lock him up.
Yeah. Miss number 2 here. Jordan Love. I remember after watching the Packers play, we went to the game. I said I was not that impressed. He made some throws, but I think he went 16 for 32. Like, he wasn't all that impressive. The accuracy was a little bit off. But then he turned it around and was a stud at the end of the year, leading to a playoff victory. My question to you, because there's some talks about him getting signed, would you sign him yet, or does he need to show more, considering at the start of last year he wasn't that good, and then he finished really strong?
If I was to sign him, it wouldn't be for very long. I would treat it more as a bridge contract, if anything.
He won't. But my point is, he's not going to sign a bridge contract. Just throw that out now.
Okay.
He wants one of these 5 years for 250 plus.
No, not at that number.
Okay, so
not at that number.
Like, he wants to be paid like a franchise quarterback.
No.
What do you think you'd pay him at?
I don't know. I'd probably give him.
Is 5 for 200 flat, $40 million a year? Do you think that would be would you sign that?
If you got me into the 30s, I'd be better about it. If you could get me into the 30s, even 38, 39.
I think I'd go 5 for 200. I think I'd go $40 million a year as of right now. I need to see more. I'd prefer to see. Now, if he goes for the first,
I need to see more
before Thanksgiving. If he looks like a top 10 quarterback in football, I'll give him the 50.
I'll give him the 40.
I'll give him the 50.
I'd give him 40.
That's wild. What if he has a really good year? Like
Really
a
good
whole year.
45. 45.
Really?
I'm just not.
If he
into
looks like he
overpaying.
did at the end of last year
They
for an
need pieces.
entire season,
Yeah, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to win it on his own. He's going to need pieces.
I don't know. He
If
looked
there's
really
gonna
good
be-
last year, but they're
there's-
not paying anybody. It's
Yeah.
all young guys.
Right, but you're
All
going to
young
need to
guys.
keep that up, though.
Sure.
Like, if you're going to win anything.
Yes, but that gives you, if you pay him, that gives you a window of young guys and really good quarterbacks.
Okay, I think we would both pay him, but I need to see I need to
So
see
if he
a
has
lot more.
really good full season, 16 or 17 games, wins a playoff game like he did last year, what are you giving him next year? You're going to have to give him something.
Give him 40.
A year.
Give him
So
40.
you do the 5 for 200 then.
Yeah.
See, I think right now I'd go 5 for 200 because also if he ends up being really good, you just got the biggest steal of your life. But because if he has a really good year, I know you
Yeah,
said
but you have
said
to-
40.
you have to
But what's
have a
going to happen is he'll get 55 if he has a really good season.
Right, but you have to have a conservative view on that, too, where, like, you can't get burned. Like, on a...
No, you're right.
on
I'm
a
telling you
quarterback that's
what's
sat for so many
inevitably
years.
going to happen, though. If he has a good year, it's not a if he has the same year he did last year,
Yeah.
top 5 in passing yards, top 5 in passing touchdowns, wins a playoff game resoundingly. If he has that same year, he's going to get paid $55 million a year. Like, he's going to get the Trevor Lawrence deal. No questions asked. That is the start of the negotiation. That I'm telling you what's going to happen.
This turned into something.
If he has that year, that is what the contract starts at. That's what the discussion starts at.
Okay.
I could disagree with it, but that's what's gonna happen.
All right.
Okay.
That turned into something.
I know that was actually pretty good. Hit number 3 here. I've said it for a million years now that your true value is not what you think you're worth; it's what somebody is willing to pay you. We had this conversation about Lamar. And now the same thing to me is happening with Brandon Ayuk because it's not how good is Brandon Ayuk. It's how valuable and how much is Brandon Ayuk worth to us if you're the 49ers. And so that's, I think, where the issue is because obviously they want Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk at least should know that that's a really good spot for him to be.
Yeah.
But the question is the number. What would you pay Brandon Ayuk? All these top receivers are making 30, 35, anywhere between 25 and 35 are the top, couple receivers. I would feel good at 22.
I was going to say 22.
I'd go 26. Not that far off. But he's going to want like 30. So
Which
neither of
is
us are even close.
Ridiculous.
I think the highest I would go, and I
He's
wouldn't
not getting
feel,
that.
well, clearly not. From the Niners, at least. I think the highest I would comfortably go is, like I said, 26. Highest I would go with being uncomfortable is 28. I go 28 is the end of my range.
Yeah. I mean, I just would not want to, overpay at receiver, especially when you have a plethora of other weapons and options. Like, your value is a lot about where you're at, too, and, like, what that specific team's needs are, like you were saying.
Right.
Like, you might be worth 30 to...
But the Niners aren't willing to pay that to you.
No.
So it's
somewhere
on the open
else.
market, maybe. But
Maybe, but
sure,
like
but
not
right now
here.
it's with the Niners.
Not here. We have this.
Correct.
Supply and demand isn't lining up for 30.
Correct. Miss number 3 here. I see the NBA to me has always been at least popular, right? Like it's the most popular social media league, but they've just become like laughable. And I didn't think it would get to this point where I'm like comparing them to the WNBA, but they just both have the same problems. Well, WNBA, the main problem is that they just don't create any revenue, so that's an issue.
Yeah.
But the NBA, it's like you're shelling out massive contracts. Like Scotty Barnes got a max contract. That's absurd. Like that's just absurd. I don't get that at all.
No.
I don't get it at all. But whatever.
Not a big fan of the NBA. I just can't. A little bit of playoffs. Outside of that, not much.
Yeah, I just whatever.
Can't get on board.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will be back in the second segment. We're going to start off talking about Dak Prescott and comparing him against 5 other NFL quarterbacks, seeing which ones we would take at different values and numbers that you could get him at right now. And then we're going to end the show off with a Giants discussion, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back in. What is it, the 27th now?
27th.
If you missed the first segment, go back. We talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. We also did some hits and misses, per usual. This segment, we're going to have Dak or. We did Tua or about a month ago. We didn't include values or salaries on that one, though. We will on this one here. Dak or 5 other quarterbacks that we kind of view in the same general class. Some a little higher, some a little lower, as Dak Prescott, and, some values attached to those. And then we'll get into a little bit of discussion on the Giants. What's the outlook for the season? Do we like them? Do we not like them? Are they one of the worst teams in football? That's probably more where the argument's going to lie. Yeah, and then we'll do last call per usual. But yeah, that's the outlook.
Last call is a good one today too.
It is a good one.
It's a pizza toppings draft.
Yeah, it is a pizza toppings draft. I feel really good. I think I'm going to get good value everywhere. It's going to be a good value
I feel
draft
good about
for me.
it. I have a lot of we'll say prospects. Maybe
Ooh.
not like not
Sure.
a favorite.
A little bit of a sleeper.
Something that could come up and play.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we
Hang it back.
appreciate you guys getting here, whether it be through YouTube or Spotify or Apple or all of them, iHeart. Whatever you are listening through, just hit that subscribe, the follow, the bell, the button, the toggle, all of it. Hit it all.
follow.
Sure,
Yep.
yeah, do it all, whatever. But let's go ahead. Without further ado, we're going to do Dak but we'll set the precedent at Dak's salary is going to be $55 million. We're going to keep that consistent for these 5 quarterbacks. The other quarterbacks will have a changing number. Let's go ahead.
All right, so first, Dak Prescott at $55 million or Trevor Lawrence at $55 million.
Right, because that's exactly what Trevor just signed for, so that we actually know that that's the value. And Dak, that's what I would say is probably roundabout worth, whether we like it or not. I would go Trevor. I think he's a more physically gifted quarterback. He's a younger quarterback, so if I'm looking at most of the franchise guys have been getting 4 or 5 years. So I'm looking at 4 or 5 years down the road. I think Trevor is a better player and has some more longevity to him.
All right. Dak at $55 million or Tua Tagovailoa at $45 million.
This is one where it's like, well, what situation am I in? Because I think if I'm on an average to below average team, I do think Dak's the answer. But I think at the price, that $10 million less, I would probably lean Tua at 45. Again, if we're going for the respective teams, so if you're Miami, would you rather have Tua or Dak at those respective numbers? I would go Tua. I think he's a more accurate distributor of the football.
Okay. Dak at $55 million or Kirk Cousins at $45 million.
This is so close because Kirk's a little bit cheaper, but Kirk's a little bit older coming off an Achilles surgery, so I would lean Dak slightly because this is kind of, again, this is the value that you're going to have, which is 45 and 55 million for, we'll call it at least 3 years. I think, again, projecting out, Dak is younger, a little bit more durable. I would go Dak at 55.
Okay. Dak at $55 million or Brock Purdy at $40 million.
This one to me is not particularly close. I think 15 million difference, I would go Brock absolutely. I think if all was equal in terms of their salary, there's an argument for either one of them. But also, I have big game experience, big game success from Brock Purdy. Right? Nobody questions that Dak is a good quarterback. Nobody questions that Dak can compete at the highest level. The problem is when the lights shine bright, they just shrink. And now, is that an organizational problem? Yeah, sure. I'm sure there's some organizational stuff to it. I mean, the Cowboys have been, a little bit noisy for, 2 decades now. So, of course, it's not all on Dak. But I have proof of concept that Brock can do it at the highest level and was even competitive in the Super Bowl, although I didn't think he played great. He played better than Dak did in that wild card game.
He did.
So I would go Brock at 40.
Do you think they provide the same amount of value just to an organization standpoint or no? Or is it the big name with Dak, but you could get the same thing for $15 million less?
Yeah, I would say there's an argument Brock's also younger, so that's something. He is a little bit smaller, but there's an argument Brock is a better quarterback. Like, flat out, no matter what the number is.
Wow.
Clearly, he performs better.
Okay.
But, I mean...
I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. It's close.
So you're taking Brock.
Yeah, I would take Brock.
All right. Dak at $55 million or Jared Goff at $53 million.
Yeah, this is another one where Goff, again, just signed for that $53 million a year.
Yep.
I would probably go Goff. To me, this is the closest one. First of all, it's the closest. Well, I guess Trevor was the closest because it was spot on. But Goff, $2 million. The number doesn't mean a ton in this discussion. And I view them as such similar players. I would go Goff slightly because I think he's a more consistent thrower. I feel like I know what I'm getting with Goff. I think his floor is higher. I think his ceiling might be a tad lower. I know what I'm getting with Goff more so than I know what I'm getting with Dak. I think Dak, when he blows up, he's going to throw picks. He's going to be off. I think Goff's a more consistent player. And he was drafted 1-1 for a reason. I know once you're in the league, draft position doesn't matter a ton. But I still I think it does matter. Because I think at the end of the day, it means you are a more talented player at a base level.
Oh, it sets the board for sure.
So, yeah, I would go Goff.
Yeah. Love it. Run back.
I was
through
going
it.
back through it. I would go Trevor over Dak. I'd go Tua over Dak. We'll go with the numbers. I would go Trevor at 55 over Dak at 55. I'd go Tua at 45. I'd go Dak at 45 or at 55 over Kirk. I would take Brock at 40, and I would go Goff at 53.
Love it.
$1 million per year. Let's go ahead and transition into the Giants. I wanted to talk about them because I saw Kayvon Thibodeau was in the news for him and Lawrence Taylor were going back and forth. Just friendly, cordial, kind of jawing at each other a little bit. Nothing too crazy. But it got me thinking, it's like, well, they're going to have a good defensive line, right? Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. They signed Brian Burns, or traded for Brian Burns, whatever. They acquired Brian Burns this offseason, the edge rusher from Carolina. Drew Lock is like competing and taking reps with the ones, and Daniel Jones is still there making 40-something million. So it's a weird situation. Brian Dable, is he a good coach? Because he went to the playoffs and won a playoff game, and then he sucked last year. So, like, what are the Giants? And I don't really know. To me, they feel like the Patriots with I would say Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than anything that's in New England right now.
Yeah.
I'd say they have a better offensive line than what's in New England right now. And I would say from a pass rush standpoint, they have a better pass rush than what's in New England right now. But they both face the same challenges, where it's like, well, we don't really have any weapons. That they're like, we don't have anybody on the outside that can consistently win on a route, whether it be against man, against zone, over the middle, on the outside. They don't really have a guy that can go do that. So, look, we can bang on Daniel Jones all we want, and I will definitely throughout the year. I'm completely out on Daniel Jones, the franchise quarterback, but let's not act like he has a ton to work with here. Like, it is a barnyard musical in the skill position rooms. Like Malik Neighbors should help, but like, do we really think Malik Neighbors, back to the discussion we had earlier, is Malik Neighbors actually worth any points or wins on their win total or point total for a game?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so. Maybe, if he goes out, as of right now as a rookie, no. Halfway through the year, if he ends up being a stud, yeah, maybe he's worth a point and a half. But look, Devontae Adams can miss a game, the line will move by about a point. Like, there's not a significant line movement for non-quarterback positions. That's just the reality of the situation. Baseball's a big WAR. WAR is a big stat. It means wins above replacement.
Yep.
In football, everybody's WAR would be really low. Like, your wins above replacement is not actually what you think it is. It's about a half a game if you're a top-end non-quarterback position, like a T.J. Watt, like a Justin Jefferson, etc., right? You're about a half a win, maybe a win. So I don't know how valuable Malik Neighbors is actually going to be. Is he going to be able to turn anything around? I don't think so. My prediction for the Giants, and I'll pull up their schedule here, and we'll just do kind of a little bit, go through it, win-loss type of thing. I enjoy doing stuff like this. I think they're going to miss Saquon Barkley. I think when you look at Daniel Jones splits, I don't want the San Francisco Giants. Thank you, though. When you look at the splits between Daniel Jones' career with and without Saquon, it's not pretty. So I think that's going to kind of come to rear its head. So they open at home against the Vikings. I would say Sam Darnold will be starting, so it's not a decided quarterback disadvantage for the Giants. I would still go Vikings slightly. Your take?
I'd go Vikings.
Sure. At Commanders. Like, and we haven't seen Jaden Daniels playing. I would play. Or not Jaden. Yeah, we haven't seen Jaden Daniels play.
I'd take the Commanders.
I would go Commanders because they're at home, too. At the Browns. I'd go Cleveland.
All day.
Yeah, the Cowboys visit New York.
Cowboys.
I would go the Cowboys. They go to Seattle. They host the Bengals. They host the Eagles. They go to Pittsburgh. Now, hear me out. That's absolutely a game Pittsburgh would lose. Would that shock you even? It's an 8:15. It's a primetime game. Would that even shock you a little bit if the Steelers lost that?
No. But I'm not going to predict it.
In fact, I'm going to predict it. So you're not going to? So
No.
You have them 0 for, I have them 1 for. Then the Commanders go to New York. I'll give the Giants that win as well. I think with a rookie quarterback, who knows what J.D. Jones is going to be looking like by this point. That's week, 8? I'll give them, I think they split against the Commanders.
Okay.
Then they go to Carolina. It's probably a win. Carolina sucks pretty bad. Then they have the Bucs at home. Probably lean Bucs.
Yeah.
Baker, they won a playoff game last year? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take the Bucs.
Sure. At Dallas.
Dallas.
They host the Saints. Coin flip game, I'd probably go Saints, but it's at least close. Ravens go to New York.
Ravens.
At Atlanta.
Atlanta.
The Colts at home.
I'll take the Colts at home.
Well, Colts will be on the road, but yeah, and then the Eagles at Philly.
Okay. Philly.
So there's what, like 2 or 3 wins in there?
Maybe.
So
And those are scrappy, like, fight for it wins, too.
I think I'm gonna go. Because I think at the end of the day, like, people tend to win. I feel like when we do these for bad teams, we always underestimate. I'll give them 4 wins. I think they'll steal that Pittsburgh win. I think they'll split with the Commanders. I think they'll beat the Panthers. That's 3 right there. I think they'll steal one of the following games: the Vikings, the Bucks, the Saints, or the Colts. I think they'll win 1 or 2 of those 4 games. So I'll give them 4, maybe 5 if they're really good. I don't see it with the team. I don't.
It's going to be ugly. It's going to get ugly fast, and it's not going to get any better.
I just don't. I don't see it at all. Where do you think Daniel Jones falls in terms of ranking? Let me do a Daniel or let's do a real quick. I'll fire it off to you this time. Okay. Daniel Jones or Kyler Murray.
Kyler.
Oh, thank God. You worried me that you even paused. Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker.
Without seeing him play a down of NFL football, Jaden Daniels.
Give him a chance.
You give him Jaden Daniels a chance? Caleb Williams.
Ooh.
That's absurd. That's absurd.
I'll give Caleb a chance.
Sam Darnold.
Daniel Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's closer than I would think.
I think that's the closest one you've given.
Russell Wilson.
Russ.
I agree. Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun. Not that number, though.
Well, yeah, that number sucks, but let's just go from a pure talent standpoint.
Yeah, Deshaun.
Geno Smith.
Geno beat him last year. I'll take Geno.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not taking anybody over Daniel Jones. Or Daniel Jones over anybody.
Sure. So you would have him as the 32nd best quarterback in football.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of who would be worse.
Seriously.
Who would you take over?
I don't know. I'm thinking. Atlanta, no. I mean, let's go through the divisions.
AFC North. Steelers.
Anybody in Pittsburgh?
Nope.
I'd probably take Pittsburgh.
Yep. I'd take
obviously Baltimore,
Cleveland.
Cincinnati, Cleveland. C.J. Stroud, yes. Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will Levis. Okay, Will Levis.
Will Levis is a discussion.
Close.
I'd leave Daniel Jones.
Sure. Trevor. Taking Trevor.
Take Trevor.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron.
Tua. Obviously Josh.
Yep.
New England situation, I'd probably go Daniel Jones.
Yeah. That's how you know it's bad.
Yeah. What about Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell?
I don't... This is like... These comparisons don't even matter. They're so bad.
That's fair. Let's just go ahead and move to last call then, because that was bad. We're doing a draft of pizza toppings. If you're new to last call or just new to the show or whatever, somehow you stumble across this at the end of the show, we do about 5. I always say this about 3, 4, 5 minutes, but it always ends up being like 8, 9, or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll try to make it actually like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Pizza toppings. It's only a 3-round draft today. But yeah, last call is just something that's not sports related, but we kind of put a little sports spin on it in a draft format.
Yeah.
I get the 1-1 because I won predictions last year. You're hoping to take that crown back. With 1-1, I'm going to go pepperoni. I think it's the most versatile. It's the most popular. If you don't like pepperoni, you're just weird, or you're like 7. So I would go pepperoni.
I knew you were going to go with that one.
How could you not?
That's like not picking a chocolate chip cookie.
It's like not picking Caleb Williams this past year.
Okay.
Which, by the way, did you say cookie draft? Write it down.
Cookie draft would be great.
Continue.
This is a swing. Banana peppers.
Dude, that was my number 2. I had it on my board. It on my board.
Banana peppers at 1.
I don't think it's a crazy number 1. I don't think it's crazy.
Now, paired with something else that I'm thinking about.
Pepperoni.
Yeah,
For starters.
The pepperoni banana pepper, yeah, but I'm thinking of another one. I got to save it.
Okay. For my number 2, I'm going to go pineapple.
My God.
I'm a huge pineapple on pizza guy.
We just lost half of the audience there.
That's okay. Love me or hate me, you still tune in to watch me. You're not a pineapple on pizza. Hawaiian pizza is one of my favorites. And here's the thing that pisses me off about people that don't like pineapple on pizza is 75% of them never even tried it.
I've had it. It's horrible.
That's absurd to say.
Sweet.
I don't believe that. I don't even believe that you believe that.
I don't like sweet on my pizza.
Insane.
I don't like sweet on my pizza. Plus, I look at this as a draft of what's going to provide the most value. What can you make the most with? You can put banana peppers with a lot of different shit.
All right, what's your number 2?
Hot sausage.
I think that's a weak 2.
No, it's not.
I think
No, it's
pineapple's way stronger.
A hot sausage banana pepper pizza is phenomenal.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. We should redo this next time, but actually do it where your 3 have to be on the same pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm killing it right now.
Sure. No. I'd go bacon in my 3rd slot.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
bacon's a good pick.
That's a staple.
Yeah, because you don't add bacon to something and it gets worse. Like, ever.
Right.
You are at very, very high floor on bacon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Very high floor.
Now, this next one's going to seem boring, but it's interesting.
It's going to be like green pepper or onion or something.
No. Spinach. Added to a pizza. Spinach combined with the pepperoni is fantastic on a pizza.
I think that's worse than pineapple.
Nope.
That's absurd.
I'm taking it.
Spinach.
Yeah.
Spinach.
Yes. White pizza.
Spinach.
White pizza.
White pizza.
Any sort of like... You don't put
Spinach.
spinach on your pizza?
Oh, no.
No?
Oh, man.
Because?
I mean, it's good.
It's
Don't get me
great.
wrong. It's good.
It's great.
But I
if
think...
you add spinach to anything, it's going to highlight it.
Well, that's just flat wrong. You want to talk about pineapple not being versatile. I think spinach is not versatile. If it's not a white pizza or like a version of a white pizza, then you're screwed.
That's okay. If it's not Hawaiian, and then you're screwed. You need to have a
That's
pineapple
wrong
only
because,
pizza.
well, bacon and pineapple is fantastic. Pepperoni pineapple and cheesy crust is fantastic. All right, I'll just do an outro. Guys, we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for being here. YouTube, Spotify. Make sure you guys come back next week. We're going to start really ramping up football. We'll start getting into our divisional predictions here within the month of July, guys. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for listening. That was The Issue.